Sergeant Derek Cole's fist connected with the man's jaw. The crack echoed through the empty hallway. Blood sprayed across the concrete floor. Another lowlife thinking he can walk into my station. Cole grabbed the stranger by his collar and slammed him against the wall. The man didn't fight back, didn't scream, just looked at Cole with eyes that held something terrifying. Patience. "You have no idea who I am," the stranger whispered through bloody lips. Cole laughed. "I know exactly what you are." What Cole didn't know, in less than 2 hours, 4 words from this man would drain every drop of color from his face and end his career forever. Drop a comment with your city name so I can see how far this story travels. The prescription bottles rattled in Michael Brennan's jacket pocket as he pushed through the front doors of the 47th Precinct. Tuesday evening, 5:47 p.m. Shift change. Officers moved past him without a second glance. Radios crackled with routine traffic calls. Someone laughed near the vending machine. The smell of old coffee and floor cleaner hung in the air. Michael walked to the front desk. His shoes were scuffed. His jacket was wrinkled. 2 days of stubble covered his jaw. He looked like a man who hadn't slept properly in years, because he hadn't. "I need to speak with Captain Morrison," Michael said to the officer behind the desk. "It's regarding tomorrow's ceremony." The desk officer barely looked up. "Name, Michael Brennan. You got an appointment." "It was arranged through the mayor's office." That got attention. The desk officer's eyes lifted, scanned Michael from head to toe. Wrinkled jacket, tired eyes, the bulge in his pocket where the prescription bottle sat. "Wait here." Michael waited. He'd gotten good at waiting. 2 years of waiting for answers. 2 years of waiting for justice. 2 years of watching his daughter ask when mommy was coming home. He could wait a few more minutes. Sergeant Derek Cole noticed him first. Cole had been with the department for 16 years. He knew how to spot trouble. He knew how to handle it. And he knew that the man standing at the front desk didn't belong here. "Hey." Cole approached with his hand already moving toward his belt. "You. What's your business?" Michael turned slowly. His movements were deliberate, controlled, the kind of movements that came from years of training. "I'm waiting to see Captain Morrison." "Morrison's busy. What do you want?" "That's between me and the captain." Cole stepped closer, close enough that Michael could smell the coffee on his breath. "Nothing in this station is between you and anyone. Everything goes through me first." "I'd prefer to wait." "I'd prefer you answer my question." Michael's hand moved toward his jacket pocket, just reaching for his ID. But Cole saw something else. Cole saw a threat. "Don't move." Cole grabbed Michael's wrist and twisted it behind his back. The prescription bottles fell from his pocket, scattering across the tile floor. Pills spilled everywhere. White tablets rolling in every direction. "I knew it!" Cole forced Michael against the wall. "Another junkie thinking he can score here. Those are my daughter's medications. She has—" "Shut up!" Cole kicked the bottles aside. He pressed his forearm against Michael's throat. Other officers stopped to watch. Nobody intervened. Nobody asked questions. This was how things worked at the 47th. "Please," Michael said. His voice stayed calm despite the pressure on his windpipe. "My daughter needs those medications. She's waiting for me at home. She can't—" "Your daughter." Cole laughed. "What kind of father are you? Coming into a police station looking like a bum, pockets full of pills." "I'm not—" "I said shut up." Cole pulled Michael away from the wall and shoved him toward the back hallway. A female officer fell into step beside them. Sergeant Nancy Torres. 18 years on the force. She'd seen this routine before. "What do we have?" Torres asked. "Junkie, possibly armed. Claims he has an appointment with Morrison." Torres looked at Michael, really looked at him. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, concern. It was gone before anyone could read it. "Let's take him to IR3. They walked him down a hallway that smelled like disinfectant and despair. Michael counted the doors as they passed. interview rooms, storage closets, a bathroom with a broken lock, and then IR3, interrogation room 3. Michael's heart rate didn't change when they opened that door, but something inside him went cold, because he knew this room. He'd seen photographs of this room, crime scene photographs that were supposed to be sealed. This was where his wife had died. Sit down. Cole shoved Michael into a metal chair. The legs scraped against concrete. Torres closed the door behind them. The room was small, 8 feet by 10, a metal table, 3 chairs, a camera mounted in the corner. The red recording light was off. Michael sat. He folded his hands on the table. His breathing stayed even, but his eyes moved to the corner of the room, to a spot on the floor where the concrete was slightly darker than the rest. Blood never fully washes out. Let's start over. Cole pulled up a chair and sat across from Michael. He placed his forearms on the table and leaned forward. Who are you, and why are you here? My name is Michael Brennan. I'm here for a meeting with Captain Morrison regarding tomorrow morning's ceremony. What ceremony? That's not something I can discuss with you. Cole smiled. It wasn't a friendly expression. Everything that happens in this station is my business. Every person who walks through those doors is my responsibility. So I'm going to ask you one more time. What ceremony? Michael looked at him steadily. Where's your captain? I'm asking the questions here, and I'm choosing not to answer them. Torres moved behind Michael. He felt her presence without turning around. Standard intimidation tactic. Position someone behind the subject. Make them feel surrounded, vulnerable. It wasn't going to work. You know what I think? Cole leaned back in his chair. I think you're lying. I think there's no meeting. I think you walked in here with a pocket full of pills hoping to sell them to some rookie who doesn't know better. Those pills are prescribed to my daughter. She has a degenerative muscle condition. Without that medication, save it. Cole stood up. He walked around the table slowly. You know what else I think? I think you've been here before. Something about your face. Something familiar. Michael's jaw tightened. Just barely. Just enough for someone watching closely to notice. Cole noticed. Yeah. Cole stopped beside Michael's chair. I've seen you before. Where was it? Court jail. Some protest outside the building. I've never been arrested. Never been caught, you mean? Torres spoke for the first time. Derek, maybe we should check his story. Call Morrison's office. Morrison's in a meeting. Then call the mayor's office, if he's telling the truth. He's not telling the truth. Cole grabbed Michael's jacket collar and jerked him halfway out of the chair. Are you? Michael's voice stayed level. You're making a mistake. The only mistake here is you walking into my station. Your station. That's right. My station. My rules. And rule number 1 is that I decide who belongs here and who doesn't. You don't belong here. Cole shoved Michael back into the chair. Hard. The metal legs scraped against concrete. Michael's head snapped back, but he didn't cry out. Torres pulled out Michael's wallet. She flipped through it. Driver's license, credit cards, a photograph. She stopped at the photograph. Derek. What? Torres held up the picture. It showed a woman with auburn hair and green eyes, smiling, beautiful, standing next to Michael with her arm around his waist. That's Sarah Brennan, Torres said quietly. Cole's face didn't change. So, Sarah Brennan, the journalist, the one who... I know who she was. Cole's voice went flat. So what? He's got a picture of some dead reporter in his wallet, probably bought it at a flea market. She was my wife. The words dropped into the room like stones into still water. Cole turned slowly. Torres took a step back. What did you say? Cole asked. Sarah Brennan was my wife. She died 2 years ago. In this station. In this room. Silence. Cole recovered first. She wasn't in this room. She was killed in a hit and run. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows what they were told to believe. What's that supposed to mean? Michael looked up at Cole. For the first time his mask slipped, just for a moment. And what lay underneath wasn't fear. It wasn't submission. It was fury. Cold, patient, calculated fury. It means I know what really happened to her. Cole's hand moved to his belt, not to his weapon, to his radio. He wanted to call for backup, wanted to get someone else in this room. But something stopped him. The way this man was looking at him, like he was already dead. Your wife had a car accident, Cole said slowly. Tragic. Terrible. But accidents happen. Sometimes people die. That's life. She wasn't in an accident. The investigation was closed in 48 hours. No witnesses interviewed. No traffic cameras checked. The medical examiner ruled it an accident before her body was even cold. Torres exchanged a glance with Cole. Something passed between them. A silent conversation that happened in the space of a heartbeat. You're grief-stricken, Torres said. It's understandable. Losing a spouse is... Don't. Michael's voice was quiet, but it cut through the room like a blade. Don't pretend you care. Don't pretend you don't know exactly what happened. Because I know. I know everything. Cole moved closer. You don't know anything. I know Sarah came to this station on May 14th, 2 years ago. She said she had evidence of corruption. Drug money being laundered through the evidence room. Arrests being sold to the highest bidder. Cases being buried. That's ridiculous. I know she was brought to this room. Interrogation room 3. At 7:43 p.m., the cameras were turned off, just like they are now. Cole's face had gone very still. I know she never left this building alive. I know her body was found 3 hours later 6 miles away, staged to look like a hit and run. And I know the officer who brought her to this room. The officer who was the last person to see her alive. Michael stood up slowly. His hands were still at his sides, non-threatening. But his eyes never left Cole's face. That officer was you. The room went completely silent. Torres backed toward the door. Her hand was on her weapon now. Her face had gone pale. Cole didn't move. He stood there 3 feet away from Michael, and something was happening to his face. A slow transformation. Confusion giving way to recognition. Recognition giving way to fear. You're crazy, Cole said, but his voice had changed, lost its edge. You're a grief-stricken man making up stories. Am I? Sarah Brennan was killed in a car accident. The driver was never found. It happens. Hit and runs happen every day in this city. Then why is your hand shaking? Cole looked down. His right hand was trembling. Just slightly. Just enough. Why are you sweating? Michael continued. Why won't you look me in the eye? I'm looking at you right now. No. You're looking past me. You're looking at that spot on the floor. The spot where the concrete is darker. The spot where you tried to wash away my wife's blood. Torres made a sound, something between a gasp and a whimper. Derek, what is he talking about? Nothing. He's talking about nothing. He's a lunatic who wandered in off the street. Then why do you look like you've seen a ghost? Cole turned on her. Shut up. Just shut up and help me get this guy booked. Trespassing, possession, resisting arrest, whatever sticks. I'm not resisting. You will be. Cole grabbed Michael by the throat, slammed him back against the wall. The same wall Sarah had leaned against. The same wall where she'd begged for her life. Listen to me very carefully. Cole's face was inches away. His breath was hot on Michael's skin. I don't know what you think you know. I don't know what kind of fantasy you've constructed in your grief-addled brain, but you're going to forget all of it. Right now. Tonight. Forever. Or what? Or you're going to have an accident, just like your wife. Michael smiled. It was the worst thing he could have done. Because a man being threatened doesn't smile. A man afraid for his life doesn't smile. Cole hesitated. Something was wrong. Something about this situation didn't fit the script. You think this is funny? Cole tightened his grip on Michael's throat. You think I won't do it? I think you've already done it. Multiple times. I think Sarah wasn't your first. I think Daniel Patterson wasn't your first. I think Maria Gonzalez wasn't your first. I think you've been killing people in this room for years and writing it off as accidents and medical emergencies and overdoses. Cole's grip loosened. Just slightly. How do you know those names? I know everything, Sergeant Cole. Every name, every date, every falsified report, every dollar that changed hands, every body you buried. Torres was at the door now. Her hand was on the knob. Derek, I don't like this. Something's wrong. Stay where you are. He knows too much. How does he know? I said, stay where you are. Cole released Michael's throat and stepped back. His hand went to his weapon. For a long moment, no one moved. Who are you? Cole asked. Michael straightened his jacket, smoothed his collar, touched the spot on his throat where Cole's fingers had left marks. I already told you. My name is Michael Brennan. Nobody named Michael Brennan has an appointment with Captain Morrison. The appointment wasn't made in my name. Then whose name? The name I'll be using after tomorrow morning's ceremony. The name that will be on every piece of official correspondence, every memo, every order. Cole's face twisted with confusion. Torres had stopped trying to leave. She was staring at Michael like he was something she'd never seen before. What are you talking about? Cole demanded. I'm talking about my new position. The position I was appointed to 6 weeks ago. The position that was confirmed by City Council 2 weeks ago. The position that I will officially assume tomorrow morning at 8:00 a.m. The door opened. A young officer stood in the doorway. Jamie Walsh, 6 months on the force, still in his probation period. His face was pale. Sergeant Cole, Captain Morrison is asking for you. There's a federal agent at the front desk, and the mayor just arrived. Cole's face went white. Michael Brennan looked at him with those patient, furious eyes. Still think I'm a junkie who wandered in off the street? The prescription bottles were still scattered across the lobby floor. Lily's medication, the pills that kept her muscles from deteriorating, the pills that kept her alive. Michael had been coming to pick them up from the pharmacy across the street. Had been planning to grab them quickly and get home before dinner. Had been thinking about what to make Lily for her birthday tomorrow. And then he'd seen the 47th precinct, the building where his wife had taken her last breath. He'd made a decision. Some decisions change everything. Sergeant Torres. Michael's voice was calm, almost gentle. I'd like you to do something for me. Torres swallowed. What? Check tomorrow's schedule. See if there's a ceremony listed for 8:00 a.m. See who's being sworn in. Torres pulled out her phone. Her hands were shaking. She typed, scrolled, read. The color drained from her face. Oh God. What? Cole grabbed for the phone. What does it say? Swearing in ceremony, 8:00 a.m. Mayor Anderson presiding. Torres looked up at Michael. Her voice was barely a whisper. New police commissioner, Michael Brennan. The room went completely still. Cole stared at his phone, then at Michael, then at the marks on Michael's throat. The marks he had put there. You can't be. I am. No one told us. Morrison didn't say anything. The department memo. There was no memo. There was no announcement. Because Mayor Anderson wanted to see something. He wanted to see how this precinct would treat an unknown man who walked in asking to speak with command. He wanted to test the culture. Cole's legs seemed to give out. He sat down heavily in the metal chair, the same chair he'd shoved Michael into minutes ago. And I volunteered, Michael continued. I insisted, actually, because I needed to see for myself. I needed to know if anything had changed since my wife died. I needed to know if the men who killed her were still here, still doing the same things, still hurting people. Jamie Walsh was still in the doorway. His hand was in his pocket, pressed against his phone. The phone that had been recording everything since he'd positioned himself outside IR3's door. "I have video," Walsh said quietly. "Everything that happened. The lobby, the hallway, this room." Cole's head snapped up. "You little—" "He's a Marine." Michael cut in. "Just like I was. We recognize each other. We recognize when orders violate the oath we took." Torres was crying now, silently, tears running down her cheeks. "He's going to destroy us," she whispered. "Everything we've done. Everyone we've protected." "You protected murderers." Michael's voice hardened. "You protected rapists. You protected drug dealers who paid for immunity. You protected the men who killed my wife." "I didn't know. You knew exactly what happened in this room. You were here when Sarah died. You watched. You did nothing. And then you helped falsify the reports." Torres collapsed against the wall. Her legs couldn't hold her anymore. Cole was still sitting in the chair. His face had gone from white to gray. He looked like a man watching his own funeral. "What happens now?" Cole asked. His voice was hollow, empty. Michael walked to the door. He stopped beside Jamie Walsh. Put a hand on the young officer's shoulder. "Now the mayor and I are going to have a conversation. Federal Agent Rachel Turner is going to secure this room. DOJ Attorney Richard Bennett is going to inform you of your rights." He turned back to look at Cole one last time. "And tomorrow morning at 8:00 a.m. after I take my oath of office, I'm going to reopen every case you've ever touched, starting with my wife's murder." Cole's face crumpled. "Your face went white," Michael said quietly. "Just like the report said happened to Sarah right before she died. She knew, didn't she? In those last moments. She knew no one was coming to save her." He stepped into the hallway. "But I came anyway. 2 years late. But I came." The door to IR3 closed behind him. And Derek Cole sat alone in the room where he'd killed Sarah Brennan, finally understanding that his past had found him. It always does. The hallway stretched before Michael like a tunnel through his own memories. Every step brought him closer to the lobby. Every step took him further from the room where Sarah had died. Jamie Walsh walked beside him. The young officer's phone was still recording. His hands were steady, but his jaw was tight. "Sir, how did you know I was recording?" "I didn't know. I hoped. What if I hadn't been?" Michael stopped walking. He turned to face the young officer. "Then I would have done this alone. Taken longer. Been messier. But the outcome would have been the same. You were willing to risk everything on hope." "I've been planning this for 2 years, Officer Walsh. Hope wasn't the plan. Hope was just the bonus." They continued walking. The sounds of the station grew louder. Voices, radios, the hum of machinery, the rhythm of a building that didn't know its world was about to collapse. "My father was a cop," Walsh said quietly. 23 years, retired with honors. He told me once that the hardest part of the job wasn't the criminals. It was the other cops. Smart man? He died last year, heart attack. But before he went, he said something I never forgot. He said the 47th was rotten. Said he'd heard stories for years but could never prove anything. Michael stopped again. "What was your father's name?" "Thomas Walsh." Something flickered across Michael's face. "I know that name. Sarah mentioned him in her notes. Said he was one of the good ones. Said she wished she could have talked to him." Walsh's voice cracked. "She tried. 2 weeks before she died. She called our house. Dad wasn't home. I answered, told her to call back later." He swallowed hard. "She never did. That wasn't your fault. I was 22. I was lazy. I didn't write down the message." "And you've been carrying that guilt ever since?" Walsh didn't answer. He didn't have to. They reached the lobby. Everything looked different now. The same tile floors, the same fluorescent lights, the same officers moving through their routines. But Michael saw it all through new eyes. He saw Sarah walking through those doors 2 years ago, confident, determined, carrying a folder full of evidence that would get her killed. He saw her approaching the front desk, asking to speak with someone in charge, being told to wait. He saw Derek Cole noticing her, moving toward her, starting the chain of events that would end with her body on a dark road 6 miles away. "Commissioner Brennan?" The voice cut through his memories. Michael turned. A woman in a dark suit approached, FBI credentials visible on her belt, short brown hair, sharp eyes, the kind of eyes that had seen too much and forgotten nothing. "Agent Turner. We need to talk, privately." The conference room. Already secured. They moved through the station. Officers stopped to stare. Word was spreading. Whispers followed them like shadows. The conference room was at the end of the administrative hallway. 2 more federal agents stood outside. They nodded as Michael approached. Inside, Mayor Thomas Anderson sat at the head of a long table. Beside him, a man in an expensive suit with tired eyes. DOJ Attorney Richard Bennett. And in the corner, a woman Michael hadn't expected to see. Clara Williams, dispatch supervisor. 25 years with the department. She stood when Michael entered. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. "Mrs. Williams." Michael's voice was gentle. "I didn't know you'd be here." "I asked to come." Her voice trembled. "When I heard what was happening tonight, I asked to be part of it." "Why?" Clara reached into her bag and pulled out a thick folder. She placed it on the table with shaking hands. "Because I've been keeping records for 3 years. Every altered dispatch log. Every call that got buried. Every time the radio went silent when it shouldn't have." She looked at Michael with tears streaming down her face. "And because I was on duty the night your wife died." The room went silent. Michael walked slowly to the table. He stood across from Clara, the folder between them. "Tell me." "I can't." "Tell me what happened to my wife." Clara's hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the edge of the table. "She came in at 7:38 p.m. I remember because I logged her entry. She said she had documents, evidence of corruption. She asked to speak with Internal Affairs." "What happened next?" "I called upstairs. Told them a journalist was here with sensitive information. Protocol said I should escort her to a waiting room. Keep her comfortable until someone from IA could come down." "But that's not what happened." "No." Clara's voice broke. "Sergeant Cole came instead. He said IA was busy. Said he would handle the preliminary interview. Said it was standard procedure." "And you believed him?" "I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Because if I didn't believe him, then I would have to admit what this station really was. What these men really were." Clara collapsed into a chair. Her whole body was shaking now. I watched him take her down the hallway. I watched her walk toward IR3. And I did nothing. I told myself it was fine. Told myself Cole knew what he was doing. Told myself she would walk out in an hour and everything would be fine. But she didn't walk out. No. Clara looked up at Michael. Her face was a mask of guilt and grief. The next time I saw Sarah Brennan, it was on the news. Hit and run. Body found 6 miles away. Case closed in 48 hours. Michael's hands had curled into fists at his sides. His knuckles were white, but his voice stayed steady. "Did you report what you saw?" "I tried. I went to Captain Morrison the next morning. Told him Cole had taken a journalist to IR3 the night before. Told him something felt wrong." "What did Morrison say?" "He said I was mistaken. Said Cole was off duty that night. Said the logbooks showed he'd clocked out at 6:00 p.m. Clara's voice hardened. "But I know what I saw. I know what time it was. I know Sarah Brennan walked down that hallway with Derek Cole and she never came back." Agent Turner stepped forward. "Mrs. Williams, the logbooks you mentioned. Do you still have access to the originals?" I have copies. I've been making copies of everything for 3 years. Every time they altered a record, I kept the original. Every time they buried a call, I documented it. Every time someone died in custody and the reports didn't match reality, I saved the evidence. She reached into her bag again and pulled out a USB drive. Small, unassuming, the kind of thing that could hold someone's entire life. Or destroy it. This is everything. 3 years of records. 47 incidents that don't match official reports. 12 deaths in custody that were ruled accidents or medical emergencies but showed signs of trauma. Financial records I pulled from the evidence room showing cash payments to Cole Torres Morrison and Deputy Chief Harrison. Mayor Anderson stood up. Deputy Chief Harrison is involved. He's not just involved. Clara's voice was bitter now. He's been running the operation for years. Cole and Torres are the muscle. Morrison looks the other way. But Harrison, he's the one who decides who lives and who dies. He's the one who picks which cases get buried. He's the one who collects the payments. Michael turned to Agent Turner. Where is Harrison now? We have agents watching his house. He left work at 5:00 p.m. Hasn't moved since. Does he know what's happening here? Not yet. But he will soon. Word travels fast in a department this corrupt. Michael walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting. Orange and red painted the sky. Beautiful. Peaceful. Nothing like the storm that was coming. What about Cole and Torres? He asked. Still in IR3. My agents are outside the door. They're not going anywhere. Have they tried to contact anyone? Cole tried to use his radio. We jammed it. Torres tried her cell phone. We're monitoring all calls in and out of the building. Michael nodded slowly. Good. What about the evidence room? Bennett spoke for the first time. We have agents securing it now. Everything Cole and Torres touched over the past 3 years is being cataloged and documented. And the other cases, the other victims. We've identified 43 families who filed complaints against officers at this precinct over the past 5 years. All of the complaints were buried. All of the cases were closed. We're reaching out to each family tonight. 43 families. 43 mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers who had lost someone. 43 people who had been told their loved ones died by accident or natural causes or their own fault. 43 lies. Sarah was working on something before she died. Michael's voice was quiet now. She called it the pipeline. Said it was bigger than just this precinct. Said it connected to the DA's office, the medical examiner, even some of the judges. Turner and Bennett exchanged glances. We know about the pipeline, Turner said carefully. It's been the focus of our investigation for 18 months. How much have you uncovered? Enough to bring down half the criminal justice system in this city. But we needed someone on the inside, someone with authority, someone who could shake the tree and see what falls out. Michael turned from the window. That's why you supported my appointment. That's one of the reasons. Your qualifications spoke for themselves. Former internal affairs investigator. Military background. No connections to anyone in the current command structure. But yes, we also hoped that putting you in charge would force certain people to make mistakes. Like Cole. Like Cole. Like Torres. Like everyone who's been hiding in the shadows for years. Turner stepped closer. But we didn't expect you to do this. We didn't expect you to walk in here alone and let them assault you. I needed to see it for myself. You could have been killed. Then my daughter would have grown up knowing her father died trying to get justice for her mother. There are worse legacies. The door opened. Jamie Walsh entered. His face was pale. Sir, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Deputy Chief Harrison just arrived at the station. He's asking for Cole, and he brought 2 other officers with him. Michael looked at Turner. I thought you said he hadn't moved from his house. Our agents reported him at home 15 minutes ago. Then either your agents made a mistake, or Harrison knew he was being watched and slipped out another way. Walsh continued. There's more. I just got a text from a friend in dispatch. Harrison made a call from his car on the way here, to Judge Marcus Webb. Bennett's face went white. Webb is on the pipeline list. He's been signing warrants for illegal searches and dismissing cases against protected dealers for years. What did Harrison say to him? My friend couldn't hear the whole conversation, but she caught one phrase. Walsh swallowed. Clean house tonight. The room went silent. Clean house. In any other context it might mean nothing, just a phrase, just words. But in this building, in this moment, with everything that was happening, those two words meant something very specific. Destroy the evidence. Eliminate the witnesses. Make sure no one talks. Michael moved toward the door. Where's Harrison now? Heading toward IR3. He's going to Cole and Torres, going to get them out. Or silence them. Turner added grimly. If Harrison thinks they're going to talk, he won't risk letting them live. Michael was already in the hallway. Turner and Walsh followed. Behind them, Bennett was on his phone calling for backup. The station had changed in the past hour. The casual atmosphere was gone. Officers stood in clusters whispering, looking at their phones, looking at each other. They knew something was happening. They just didn't know what. Michael spotted Harrison near the entrance to the back hallway. Tall, gray hair. The kind of man who looked like a grandfather but moved like a predator. Two officers flanked him. Both young, both nervous. Deputy Chief Harrison. Harrison turned. His face showed nothing. No surprise, no concern. Just the blank, practiced expression of a man who had been hiding his true self for decades. And you are? Michael Brennan. The name means nothing to me. It will, after tomorrow morning. Harrison's eyes narrowed slightly. I don't have time for games. I'm here to check on one of my officers. Which officer? That's none of your concern. Everything that happens in this station is my concern. Michael stepped closer. As of tomorrow morning, I'm the new police commissioner, and as of right now, this building is under federal jurisdiction. Harrison's mask slipped, just for a moment, just long enough for Michael to see the rage underneath. Federal jurisdiction. FBI, DOJ, Inspector General's office. They've been investigating this precinct for 18 months. Tonight they're making arrests. On what charges? Civil rights violations, evidence tampering, conspiracy to commit murder. That's absurd. Is it? Michael pulled out his phone, showed Harrison the screen. This is a list of every payment you've received from Vincent Taylor's organization over the past 3 years. $412,000. All traced. All documented. Harrison's face went very still. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know about the warehouse on 5th Street where you meet Taylor's people every month. You don't know about the offshore account in the Caymans where you've been hiding the money. You don't know about the 17 people who've died in this station since you took over all of them, ruled accidents or medical emergencies. You're making a serious mistake. No, I'm correcting one. A mistake that should have been corrected 2 years ago when you ordered Derek Cole to murder my wife. The words landed like a bomb. Harrison's face changed. The mask was gone now. What remained was something cold and terrible. Your wife, he said slowly. Sarah Brennan, journalist. She came here with evidence of your operation. She never left. Sarah Brennan died in a car accident. Sarah Brennan was beaten to death in interrogation room 3. Her body was dumped 6 miles away. The medical examiner you paid off ruled it blunt force trauma consistent with a vehicle impact. The detective you controlled closed the case in 48 hours. Michael was in Harrison's face now, close enough to see the pulse jumping in his throat. I've spent 2 years gathering evidence. 2 years building a case. 2 years waiting for this moment. You're a grieving husband with a fantasy. I'm the man who's going to destroy everything you've built, starting tonight. Harrison smiled. It was the smile of a man who had weathered storms before, who had buried threats and eliminated problems and always come out clean. You think you're the first person to try this? You think you're the first crusader who thought they could take me down. I think I'm the first one with federal backing, 18 months of evidence, and nothing left to lose. Everyone has something to lose. Not me. You took everything from me 2 years ago. My wife, my daughter's mother, my faith in the system I spent my life serving. Michael leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. But you made one mistake, Harrison. You let me live. You could have killed me too, made it look like a grieving husband who couldn't go on. No one would have questioned it. That can still be arranged. No, it can't. Because right now there are 20 federal agents in this building, 6 more outside. Everything that's happening tonight is being recorded. Every word we say, every move you make. Harrison's smile faded. And in about 30 seconds, Michael continued. Agent Turner is going to walk around that corner with a warrant for your arrest. You can try to run. You can try to fight. But it's over, Harrison. It's been over since the moment I walked through those doors. On cue, Turner appeared at the end of the hallway, 4 agents behind her, handcuffs ready. Harrison didn't run, didn't fight. He just stood there, watching his empire crumble, watching his future dissolve. Deputy Chief William Harrison, Turner announced, you're under arrest for conspiracy to violate civil rights, racketeering, evidence tampering, and accessory to murder. You have the right to remain silent. The 2 officers who had accompanied Harrison stepped back. Their hands were raised. Their faces were terrified. We didn't know, one of them stammered. He just told us to come with him. We didn't know what was happening. We'll determine that later, Turner said. For now, both of you stay where you are. Agents moved forward. Handcuffs clicked around Harrison's wrists. The sound echoed through the hallway. This isn't over, Harrison said quietly. Yes, Michael replied. It is. They led Harrison away, past the clusters of watching officers, past the front desk where Clara Williams stood crying, past the spot on the floor where Sarah's medications were still scattered. Michael picked up the bottles, one by one, collecting the pills that had spilled, thinking about his daughter waiting at home, thinking about tomorrow. Walsh approached. Sir, what about Cole and Torres? Keep them in IR3. Agent Turner's people will handle the formal arrest. And the other officers, the ones who've been part of this, they have until tomorrow morning to come forward. After that, we audit everyone. Walsh nodded, but he didn't move. Something was still bothering him. Sir, can I ask you something? Go ahead. When you walked in here tonight, were you scared? Michael looked at the young officer. Really looked at him. I was terrified. You didn't show it. I couldn't. Fear is a luxury I gave up 2 years ago. He paused. But I'll tell you something, Officer Walsh. There's a difference between courage and fearlessness. Fearless men don't understand danger. Courageous men understand it completely and act anyway. Which one are you? Tonight, courageous. Michael's voice softened. Most days, just a father trying to make the world safer for his daughter. Walsh smiled. It was the first smile Michael had seen from him all night. My father would have liked you. I would have liked him too. Michael walked toward the exit. He had calls to make. 43 families waiting for answers, a ceremony to prepare for, a daughter to get home to. But first, he stopped at the entrance to IR3. The door was open now. Federal agents were inside documenting everything. And on the floor, still visible after 2 years, was the dark spot on the concrete. Sarah's blood. I found them, Michael whispered. All of them. It's done. He didn't expect an answer. The dead don't speak. But as he turned to leave, he could have sworn he felt something brush against his shoulder. Light as a breath. Warm as a memory. And for just a moment, the weight he'd been carrying for 2 years felt a little bit lighter. The night pressed against the windows of the 47th precinct like a living thing. Michael stood in the hallway outside IR3, watching through the small window as federal agents prepared the room for formal interviews. Derek Cole sat at the metal table, His hands were cuffed in front of him. His face had aged 10 years in the past 2 hours. Agent Turner approached Michael. "We're ready to begin the interrogation. You don't have to be here for this." "Yes, I do." "It might be difficult to hear." "I've been waiting 2 years to hear it." Turner nodded. She understood. Some things couldn't be delegated. Some pain had to be faced directly. "There's something you should know," Turner said quietly. "Cole asked to speak with you, personally, before the formal interview." "Why?" "He didn't say. But he's been asking since we cuffed him. Says he won't talk to anyone else first." Michael looked through the window at the man who had murdered his wife. Cole's eyes were fixed on the table. His shoulders were slumped. Everything about his posture screamed defeat. "5 minutes," Michael said. "Then you can have him." Turner stepped aside. Michael opened the door and walked into IR3. The smell hit him first. Old sweat and fear, and the lingering chemical scent of cleaning products that could never quite erase what had happened here. Cole looked up when Michael entered. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. "You wanted to talk," Michael said. He didn't sit, didn't move closer, just stood by the door with his arms at his sides. "I need you to understand something." "I don't need to understand anything from you." "Please." Cole's voice cracked. "Just listen. For 1 minute. Then you can hate me forever." Michael said nothing. His silence was permission enough. Cole took a shaky breath. "I didn't mean to kill her. You beat her to death." "It wasn't supposed to go that far. Harrison said we just needed to scare her. Get her to hand over the documents. Find out who her sources were." "And then what?" "Let her walk away." "That's what he told us. Scare her. Get the information. Let her go." "You're lying." "I'm not." Cole looked up, and for a moment Michael saw something in his eyes that might have been genuine. "I swear to God, I didn't know he was going to have her killed. I thought we were just going to rough her up a little, make her think twice about publishing her story." "So you admit you assaulted her?" "Yes." "In this room?" "Yes." "And then what happened?" Cole's hands were shaking. The cuffs rattled against the table. "She was tougher than we expected. Torres held her down while I asked questions. She wouldn't talk, wouldn't give up her sources, kept saying she had copies of everything that killing her wouldn't stop the story." Michael's jaw tightened. That was Sarah. Brave to the end, defiant to the last breath. "I hit her," Cole continued. "More than I should have. I lost my temper. She kept looking at me with these eyes like she could see right through me, like she knew exactly what kind of man I was." "She did know." "Yeah, she did." Cole's voice dropped to a whisper. After about 20 minutes, Harrison came in. He looked at her, looked at me and said, "This is taking too long." Then he told Torres to go outside and keep watch. And then he pulled out a plastic bag, the kind you use for garbage. Michael felt his stomach lurch. He knew what was coming, had known for 2 years, but hearing it spoken out loud was different. "He put it over her head," Cole said. "She fought. God, she fought so hard. But Harrison held her down and I just stood there. I just watched." "You could have stopped him." "I was scared. She was dying." "I know." Tears were streaming down Cole's face now. "I know what I did. I know what I am. I've known for 2 years. Every night I see her face. Every time I close my eyes, I see her fighting for breath. I've been dying inside since that night and I deserve every second of it." Michael stepped closer. His voice was ice. "You want me to feel sorry for you. You want me to tell you it's okay, that you were just following orders. No. Then what do you want?" Cole looked up. His face was a ruin of guilt and grief. "I want you to know that your wife was the bravest person I've ever seen. She didn't beg, didn't plead. The last thing she said was your name. She said, 'Tell Michael I love him. Tell my daughter I'm sorry.'" Michael's composure cracked. For 2 years he'd imagined Sarah's final moments. Imagined her afraid, alone, crying out for help that would never come. But she hadn't cried out. She'd thought of him, of Lily. She'd died thinking of the people she loved. "She fought until the end," Cole whispered. "And when it was over, Harrison told me to help him move the body, make it look like a hit and run, stage the scene. I did it. I did all of it, because I was a coward, because I was more afraid of Harrison than I was ashamed of myself." Michael turned away. He couldn't look at Cole anymore. Couldn't stand in this room where his wife had taken her last breath. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Cole said behind him. "I know there isn't any. But I want you to know that I'll tell them everything. Harrison, the pipeline, every person who's been part of this. I'll give you names, dates, everything." Michael stopped at the door. His hand was on the knob. His whole body was trembling with rage and grief, and something else he couldn't name. "Why?" he asked without turning around. "Because your wife deserved better. Because the other families deserve to know the truth. And because maybe if I spend the rest of my life in prison paying for what I did, I can die knowing I did one decent thing." Michael opened the door and walked out. Turner was waiting in the hallway. She took one look at his face and didn't ask any questions. "He's ready to cooperate," Michael said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, hollow. "Get everything. Every name. Every case. Every dollar." "Michael, are you okay?" "No, but I will be." He walked down the hallway toward the conference room. His legs felt weak. His chest felt tight. The walls seemed to be closing in. Clara Williams intercepted him before he reached the door. Her face was worried. "Commissioner Brennan, there's something you need to see." "Can it wait?" "No, sir. I don't think it can." She led him to a small office near the dispatch center. Inside, a laptop was open on the desk. Video footage was playing on the screen. "What is this?" "Security footage from 2 years ago, the night your wife died." Michael's heart stopped. "I thought that footage was erased." "It was erased from the main system, but I kept a backup." Clara's voice was trembling. "I made a copy that night before Harrison could wipe the servers. I've been keeping it in a safety deposit box for 2 years waiting for someone who could use it." Michael stared at the screen. The footage showed the lobby of the 47th Precinct. Timestamp May 14th, 7:38 p.m. And there was Sarah, walking through the front doors with a folder under her arm, looking confident, determined, alive. Michael couldn't breathe. "I can stop it," Clara said quickly. "If you don't want to see, don't stop it." He watched his wife cross the lobby, watched her approach the front desk, watched her speak to the officer on duty, her hands moving as she explained why she was there. And then Cole appeared. Michael watched Cole approach Sarah, watched the conversation, watched his wife's face shift from confidence to confusion to concern. Watched Cole take her arm and lead her toward the back hallway. Watched her look back over her shoulder as if she sensed something was wrong. The footage cut to the hallway camera. Sarah walking beside Cole, her steps slowing, her body language changing. She knew. Even then she knew something was wrong. But she kept walking. Because she was brave. Because she believed in what she was doing. Because she thought the story was more important than her fear. The footage ended when they reached IR3. The camera in the interrogation room had been disabled. There was nothing more to see. But it was enough. It was proof. "This shows premeditation," Michael said quietly. Cole lied. He said they were just going to scare her. But look at the way he's moving. Look at how he positions himself to block her exit. He knew what was going to happen. "Yes, sir. Harrison planned this. He knew she was coming. He was ready for her." "I believe so." Michael turned to Clara. "How did Harrison know she was coming?" "I've been trying to figure that out for 2 years. The only people who knew about her appointment were me, the desk sergeant, and Captain Morrison." "Morrison. He's the one who told her to come in at 7:30, said he'd have someone from Internal Affairs ready to meet with her." But IA never got involved. No, sir. Cole intercepted her before anyone from IA could respond. Michael's mind was racing. Morrison had set Sarah up, had lured her to the station knowing what would happen, had been part of the conspiracy from the beginning. Where's Morrison now? Home, I think. He left at 5:00 p.m., same as Harrison. Has anyone contacted him? Not yet. Agent Turner wanted to focus on Cole and Harrison first. Michael pulled out his phone, dialed Turner's number. Turner. Morrison is involved. He set up my wife's murder. He's the one who scheduled her appointment and made sure she'd be alone when Cole grabbed her. Silence on the line. Are you sure? Clara Williams has evidence, security footage and dispatch logs. Morrison knew Sarah was coming. He made sure IA wasn't available. He handed her to Cole on a silver platter. I'll send agents to his house. Send them now. If he hears what's happening, he'll run. On it. Michael hung up. His hands were shaking again. But this time it wasn't grief. It was rage. 2 years of rage that he'd kept buried. 2 years of pretending to be patient. 2 years of playing the long game when all he wanted was to tear these men apart with his bare hands. Sir. Clara's voice was gentle. There's something else. What? The footage I showed you, that's not all of it. What do you mean? Clara reached into her bag and pulled out another USB drive, smaller than the first one. This is from the parking lot camera. It shows what happened after they moved your wife's body. Michael took the drive. It felt heavy in his hand. Have you watched it? Once, 2 years ago. I couldn't watch it again. What does it show? Clara's eyes filled with tears. It shows them putting her in Cole's trunk. It shows Harrison driving away in your wife's car. It shows Torres hosing down the parking lot to wash away the blood. Michael closed his eyes. The image was too clear, too real. And it shows something else, Clara continued. Something I didn't understand at the time. What? There's another car in the lot. A black sedan with tinted windows. It arrives about 10 minutes before your wife does and leaves about 20 minutes after Harrison drives away. Did you get the plates? Yes, sir. The car is registered to Judge Marcus Webb. The name hit Michael like a physical blow. Webb. The judge who had been signing illegal warrants for years. The judge who had dismissed cases against protected dealers. The Judge Harrison had called tonight to warn him about what was happening. Webb had been there the night Sarah died. Webb had watched it happen. He was the insurance, Michael said slowly. Harrison brought him as a witness. If anyone ever tried to expose the murder, Webb could testify that it never happened. Could sign warrants to seize evidence. Could make sure the case never went to trial. That's what I thought too. Michael looked at Clara. Really looked at her. This woman who had kept secrets for 2 years. Who had gathered evidence in the shadows. Who had risked everything waiting for someone who could help. Why did you do this? He asked. Why did you keep all of this? Clara wiped her eyes. Because your wife talked to me that night. Before Cole took her. She said she was nervous. Said she knew she was putting herself in danger. I asked her why she was doing it if she was so scared. What did she say? She said, because someone has to. Because if good people stay quiet, bad people win. Then she smiled at me and said, don't worry, I'll be fine. Clara's voice broke completely. I should have stopped her. I should have told her not to go down that hallway. I should have done something. You couldn't have known. I knew this station was rotten. I knew Cole and Harrison were dangerous. I knew, and I let her walk into that room anyway. Michael put his hand on Clara's shoulder. She was shaking, crying, carrying the same weight he'd been carrying for 2 years. You kept the evidence, he said quietly. You waited. You trusted that someone would come who could use it. That took more courage than you know. It's not enough. It's everything. Without you, there's no case. Without you, Harrison and Cole walk free. Without you, Sarah died for nothing. Clara looked up at him. Her face was wet with tears. "I want them to pay, all of them, for what they did to your wife, for what they've done to this city." "They will. I promise you they will." Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Turner. "Morrison isn't at home. Neighbors say they saw him leave an hour ago. Looked like he was in a hurry." Michael showed the message to Clara. Morrison ran. "He has a cabin upstate. He goes there when he wants to disappear." "Address." "I can get it. Give me 5 minutes." Clara hurried out. Michael stood alone in the small office holding the USB drive that contained the last moments of his wife's life. He couldn't watch it. Not tonight. Not yet. But he would. When this was over. When the trials were done. When every person responsible for Sarah's death was behind bars. Then, he would watch it. He would see exactly what they did to her. He would carry that knowledge with him for the rest of his life. Because Sarah deserved to have someone remember. Someone who would never forget. His phone rang. The screen showed his home number. Lily. "Hey, sweetheart." "Daddy, where are you? You said you'd be home for dinner." Michael closed his eyes. The rage drained away. The grief softened. All that remained was love for the 12-year-old girl waiting for him. "I know, baby. I'm sorry. Something came up at work." "Is everything okay?" "It will be, I promise." "Did you get my medicine?" Michael looked at his pocket. The bottles were still there, collected from the lobby floor, pills that kept his daughter alive. "I got it. I'll bring it home as soon as I can." "Okay." Lily's voice was quiet. "Daddy." "Yeah. I dreamed about Mom last night." Michael's heart clenched. "You did." She was smiling. She said she was proud of us. She said everything was going to be okay. Michael couldn't speak. His throat had closed completely. "Daddy, are you still there?" "I'm here, baby." "Are you crying?" "Maybe a little?" "It's okay to cry. That's what Mom always said. She said crying means you love someone so much it overflows." Michael laughed through his tears. That was exactly what Sarah used to say, word for word. "Your mom was a smart lady. The smartest." "I love you, Lily." "I love you too, Daddy. Come home soon, okay?" "I will. I promise." He hung up. For a long moment he just stood there, breathing, remembering. Then Clara returned with an address scrawled on a piece of paper. Morrison's cabin, about 2 hours north. Michael took the paper. "Call Turner. Tell her I'm going." "Sir, you can't go alone." "I'm not going to arrest him. I'm going to find him before he disappears. Turner's people can handle the rest." Clara hesitated. Then she nodded. "Be careful. Morrison isn't like Cole. He won't break down and confess. He'll fight." "I'm counting on it." Michael walked out of the office, through the hallway, past the conference room where Mayor Anderson was giving interviews to federal agents, past IR3 where Cole was spilling his guts, past the lobby where officers whispered and stared. He pushed through the front doors into the night air. The city was quiet. Streetlights cast yellow pools on empty sidewalks. Somewhere in the distance a siren wailed. Michael got into his car and started the engine. 2 hours north, a cabin in the woods. A man who had helped murder his wife. He pulled out of the parking lot and headed for the highway. Behind him, the 47th precinct glowed against the dark sky. A building full of secrets. A building full of lies. A building that would never be the same after tomorrow. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight Michael had a captain to find. And this time there would be no escape. The highway stretched before Michael like a ribbon of darkness. His headlights carved through the night, illuminating nothing but empty road and the occasional reflector winking back at him. 2 hours had never felt so long. His phone sat on the passenger seat. Every few minutes it would light up with a text from Turner or Walsh, updates on the interrogations, names being dropped, connections being made. The pipeline was unraveling faster than anyone had expected. But Michael couldn't focus on any of it. His mind kept returning to the same image. Sarah walking down that hallway, looking back over her shoulder, knowing something was wrong, but going anyway. Because she was brave. Because someone had to. His phone rang, Turner's name on the screen. "Where are you?" she asked. "About 40 minutes out from Morrison's cabin. I've got 2 agents en route. They're 30 minutes behind you. Tell them to hang back when they arrive. I want to talk to Morrison first." "Michael, that's not protocol. Protocol went out the window 2 years ago when your people failed to investigate my wife's murder." Silence on the line. Turner knew he was right. The FBI had missed it. Everyone had missed it. Sarah's death had been classified as an accident, and nobody had looked twice. "Fine," Turner said finally, "but my agents will be positioned outside. If anything goes wrong, it won't." "If anything goes wrong," she repeated firmly, "they're coming in." "Understood." Michael hung up. The road curved ahead, climbing into hills that grew steeper with every mile. Trees pressed close on both sides. No streetlights here, no houses. Just forest and darkness and the sound of his engine. His phone lit up again. A text from Walsh. "Cole is still talking. He's given us 12 more names. Torres is cooperating too. She's crying. Says she wants to see her daughter." Michael didn't respond. He didn't care about Torres's daughter. Didn't care about Cole's tears. They could cry all they wanted in prison. Another text. This one from Clara. "Morrison withdrew $50,000 from his account this morning. Looks like he was planning to run." Michael pressed harder on the gas. If Morrison had a head start, if he'd already left the cabin, this could all fall apart. Morrison knew things, names, dates, the full scope of the pipeline. Without his testimony, there would be holes in the case, gaps that defense attorneys could exploit. He couldn't let Morrison disappear. The GPS announced his exit. Michael turned onto a narrow road that wound deeper into the hills. The pavement gave way to gravel, then dirt. His headlights bounced off tree trunks and underbrush. Finally, he saw it. A cabin set back from the road. Small, wooden. A single light burning in the window, and Morrison's car parked in front. Michael killed his headlights, pulled to a stop 50 yards from the cabin. Sat in the darkness for a moment, just breathing. He'd thought about this moment for 2 years. What he would say, what he would do, how he would feel when he finally confronted the man who had set Sarah's murder in motion. Now that he was here, all of those imagined speeches had disappeared. All that remained was a hollow ache in his chest and a cold determination to see this through. He got out of the car. The night was quiet. No traffic sounds, no city noise. Just the rustle of wind through leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Michael walked toward the cabin. His footsteps crunched on gravel. He didn't try to be quiet. Didn't try to sneak up. Morrison would have heard his car, would know someone was coming. Good. Let him sweat. The front door was unlocked. Michael pushed it open and stepped inside. Morrison sat at a small kitchen table, a bottle of whiskey in front of him, a glass in his hand. He looked up when Michael entered, and his face showed no surprise, just resignation. "I wondered how long it would take," Morrison said. "Figured you'd be the first one through that door." "You knew I was coming." "I knew someone was coming. When Harrison called and said the feds were at the station, I put 2 and 2 together." Morrison took a long drink from his glass. "Took you long enough, Brennan. 2 years. I thought you'd have figured it out sooner." Michael stood in the doorway. His hands were at his sides. His heart was pounding. "Why did you do it?" "Do what helped kill your wife." Morrison laughed bitterly. "I didn't help kill anyone. I just made a phone call. Told Harrison that a journalist was coming in with evidence. He handled the rest. You knew what would happen." "I suspected. I didn't know for certain." "That's a lie." "Is it?" Morrison looked up at Michael. His eyes were bloodshot. He'd been drinking for hours. You think I wanted Sarah dead? She was a good woman. Brave, smart. The kind of person this city needs more of. Then why? Morrison set down his glass. His hands were shaking slightly. Because Harrison had me by the throat. Had for years. He knew about some things I did early in my career. Things that would have ended me. Prison time. Disgrace. My family destroyed. What things? Does it matter? The point is, I didn't have a choice. When Harrison said to make sure Sarah was alone when she came to the station, I did it. When he said to keep IA busy, I did it. I did everything he asked because I was too much of a coward to stand up to him. Michael stepped closer. You had a choice. You always had a choice. Did I? Morrison's voice rose. You don't know what Harrison is capable of. You don't know what he's done to people who crossed him. I've seen officers disappear, witnesses vanish, cases collapse overnight. Harrison runs this city's underworld, and the police department is just another arm of his operation. And you went along with it. I survived. That's what I did. I kept my head down, I followed orders, and I survived. Michael grabbed the whiskey bottle and hurled it against the wall. Glass shattered. Amber liquid splashed across the wood. My wife didn't survive. She died in that interrogation room because you set her up. Morrison flinched. I know. She died alone with a plastic bag over her head, fighting for breath while Cole held her down. I know. She died thinking of me and our daughter because she was braver than all of you combined. Morrison covered his face with his hands. His shoulders were shaking. When he spoke again, his voice was muffled. You think I don't see her face every night? You think I don't hear her screaming in my dreams? I've been living in hell for 2 years, Brennan. Every single day I wake up knowing what I did, knowing what I helped happen. Then tell me everything. Morrison lowered his hands. His face was wet with tears. Everything. The pipeline, the payments, every person involved, every case that was buried, every life that was destroyed. If I tell you they'll kill me, Harrison's people are everywhere. Harrison is in custody, Cole is cooperating, Torres is talking, Webb is next. Morrison's eyes widened. Webb. We have footage of his car at the station the night Sarah died. We know he was there. Jesus Christ. Morrison ran his hands through his hair. Webb wasn't just there. He was the one who ordered it. Michael's blood went cold. What? Harrison doesn't make decisions that big on his own. Webb is the one who runs the pipeline. Harrison is just his enforcer. The words hit Michael like a physical blow. All this time he'd thought Harrison was the mastermind, the top of the pyramid. But there was someone above him, someone with even more power. Explain, Michael said. Morrison reached for his glass, realized it was empty, and pushed it aside. The pipeline isn't just about covering up crimes and burying evidence. It's about controlling the entire justice system. Webb handles the courts. Harrison handles the police. There's a guy in the DA's office who makes sure cases never go to trial. A medical examiner who signs whatever death certificate they tell him to sign. Who's the guy in the DA's office? Assistant DA Frank Holbrook. And the medical examiner, Dr. Raymond Chen. Michael pulled out his phone. Started typing the names. Sending them to Turner. Keep going, he said. The money comes from Vincent Taylor's organization. Has for years. But Taylor is just the visible part. There's money flowing in from all over. Drug operations, human trafficking, protection rackets, all of it gets laundered through legitimate businesses that Webb's people own. How much money? Tens of millions, maybe more. I don't know the exact numbers. I just did what I was told. Michael's phone buzzed. Turner responding. We have Holbrook and Chen on our list. Agents moving to pick them up now. Keep him talking. Sarah found out about all of this, Michael said. That's why they killed her. Morrison nodded slowly. She had documents, bank records, emails, enough to blow the whole thing wide open. She didn't know who to trust, so she came to the station thinking she'd find someone honest. I was supposed to be that someone. But you handed her to Harrison instead. I didn't hand her to anyone. I just made a phone call. I told him she was coming. I thought maybe he'd send someone to intercept her documents. I didn't know he was going to... Stop! Michael's voice was sharp. Stop pretending you didn't know. You knew exactly what Harrison was capable of. You said it yourself. You'd seen officers disappear, witnesses vanish. You knew, and you made that call anyway. Morrison's face crumbled. I was scared. Sarah was scared too, but she walked into that building anyway. I know. She walked into that room knowing something was wrong because she believed in what she was doing. I know. And you let her die because you were too much of a coward to protect her. Morrison didn't argue, didn't defend himself, just sat there with tears running down his face. What do you want from me? He asked finally. I want you to testify. I want you to tell a federal grand jury everything you just told me. Names, dates, financial records, all of it. They'll kill me. You're dead anyway. The only question is whether you die as a coward or as someone who finally did the right thing. Morrison looked at Michael for a long moment. Something shifted in his eyes. The resignation was still there, but there was something else now. Something that might have been resolved. Webb has a safe house, Morrison said. Downtown, 4th floor of a building on Madison Avenue. That's where he keeps his records. Physical records. Paper. Old school. He doesn't trust computers. Michael typed the address into his phone. What kind of records? Everything. Payments to officers. Bribes to judges. Lists of protected dealers. Contracts with Taylor's people. Webb keeps detailed records because he's paranoid. Thinks if he ever goes down, he wants leverage to bring everyone else with him. Why are you telling me this? Morrison stood up slowly. He walked to the window and looked out at the darkness. Because I'm tired. Tired of running. Tired of hiding. Tired of seeing your wife's face every time I close my eyes. He turned back to Michael. And because you were right. I did know. I knew what Harrison would do to her, and I made that call anyway. I've been lying to myself for 2 years pretending I wasn't responsible, but I was. I am. Michael's phone buzzed again. Turner. My agents are outside. Do you need backup? Michael looked at Morrison. The man was broken. Defeated. There was no fight left in him. No. Michael typed back. He's cooperating. FBI is here, Michael said out loud. They're going to take you into custody. You'll be transported to a federal facility where you can give your full statement. Morrison nodded. What happens after that? That depends on how useful you are. Full cooperation might mean protection. A reduced sentence. Witness relocation. And if I'm not useful enough, then you spend the rest of your life in prison thinking about what you did. Morrison closed his eyes. That's fair. More than fair, probably. The door opened. 2 federal agents entered. They looked at Michael, then at Morrison. Captain Morrison? One of them said. Yes. You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Morrison held out his hands. The handcuffs clicked into place. He didn't resist, didn't complain, just walked out the door with the agents like a man who had finally accepted his fate. Michael stood alone in the cabin. The smell of whiskey hung in the air. Glass glittered on the floor. His phone rang. Turner again. Good work. We're moving on Webb's safe house now. I want to be there. Michael, you've done enough tonight. You should go home. Get some rest. I'll rest when this is over. Turner sighed. The safe house is 45 minutes from your current location. My team will be there in 30. If you want to observe, fine, but you stay back. Let my people handle the entry. Understood. Michael walked out of the cabin. The night air was cool on his face. The stars were bright overhead. For a moment he just stood there breathing. Sarah had loved the stars, used to drag him outside on clear nights to look at them, would name the constellations, tell him stories about Greek myths and ancient sailors navigating by starlight. I'm almost there, Michael whispered to the darkness. Just a little more. He got in his car and headed back toward the city. The drive felt shorter this time, maybe because his mind was racing, maybe because the end was finally in sight. Webb. The man behind it all. The puppet master who had ordered his wife's death. In less than an hour they would have his records, his evidence, his leverage, and then the pipeline would truly be finished. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Brennan, we should talk. I know you're coming for me. I can offer you information that will change everything you think you know. Meet me alone at the Madison Avenue location. 30 minutes. Michael stared at the screen. Webb. How had he gotten this number? How had he known Michael was involved? It didn't matter. What mattered was that Webb was scared. Scared enough to reach out directly. Scared enough to offer a deal. Michael typed a response. I'll be there. The reply came immediately. Come alone. If I see federal agents, the records disappear. And so does your chance to learn what really happened to your wife. What really happened? Michael already knew what happened. Cole had confessed. Morrison had filled in the gaps. The picture was complete. Wasn't it? He dialed Turner. Webb contacted me. He wants to meet alone at the safe house. That's a trap. Maybe. Michael, don't be stupid. Let my team handle this. He said if he sees federal agents, the records disappear. He's threatening to destroy the evidence. Turner was quiet for a moment. What exactly did he say? Michael read the message out loud. Your chance to learn what really happened to your wife, Turner repeated. What does that mean? We know what happened. I don't know. It could be a bluff, a way to manipulate you. Or it could be something we missed. Michael. I'm going in alone. Keep your team back until I give the signal. I can't authorize that. I'm not asking for authorization. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Webb has information. I'm going to get it. When I have what I need, I'll signal your team to move in. Turner's voice hardened. If you get yourself killed, everything falls apart. You're the centerpiece of this operation. Without you, the ceremony tomorrow doesn't happen. The reforms don't happen. Webb wins. Webb isn't going to kill me. How do you know? Because he reached out. If he wanted me dead, he would have just waited in the dark with a gun. He wants to make a deal. He thinks he can buy his way out. And can he? Michael's jaw tightened. No. 20 minutes later, he pulled up outside a nondescript building on Madison Avenue. Old brick. Small windows. The kind of building that blended into the cityscape without attracting attention. His phone buzzed. Turner. My team is 2 blocks away. We move in 10 minutes no matter what. Michael didn't respond. He got out of the car and walked toward the building. The front door was unlocked. A security camera tracked his movement as he crossed the lobby. He took the stairs to the 4th floor. The hallway was empty, one door at the end, slightly ajar. Michael pushed it open. Webb stood in the center of a large room. Filing cabinets lined the walls, boxes of documents stacked in corners. A lifetime of corruption cataloged and organized. He was older than Michael expected. Late 60s, gray hair, expensive suit. The kind of man who looked like a grandfather but moved like a predator. Mr. Brennan. Webb's voice was calm, pleasant. Thank you for coming. You said you had information. I said I had information that would change everything you think you know. There's a difference. I'm not here for games. No. You're here for justice. For your wife. For your daughter. For all the people who've suffered because of what happened in this city. Webb walked to a filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. Do you know why I kept records of everything? Why I documented every payment, every bribe, every order I gave? Insurance. Partially. But also because I knew this day would come. Empires don't last forever. Eventually someone like you comes along. Someone who can't be bought. Someone who won't stop. He handed the folder to Michael. "What is this?" "Everything I have on the night your wife died. Recordings, photographs, written confessions from Cole and Torres that I collected as leverage. Everything." Michael opened the folder. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. The first page was a photograph, Sarah in IR3, alive, sitting at the table. Her face showed no fear, only determination. "That was taken about 20 minutes before she died," Webb said. "I had Harrison document everything. I wanted proof of what happened in case I ever needed to control him." Michael turned to the next page. A transcript of Sarah's interrogation. Her words. Her defiance. "She was remarkable," Webb said quietly. "Even at the end. Most people beg, cry, plead for their lives. She just kept talking about her story. About the people who would continue her work. About you. Don't. She said, 'My husband won't stop. Even if you kill me, he won't stop. He'll find you. He'll destroy you.'" Webb paused. She was right. Michael's hands were shaking now. He forced himself to keep turning pages. And then he saw it. A photograph he hadn't expected. A face he recognized. "What is this?" Webb moved closer. "That's the real reason I wanted to meet you alone." The photograph showed Sarah in the hallway, being led toward IR3. Cole on one side, and on the other side, a man Michael had trusted. A man who had supported his appointment. A man who was waiting at City Hall right now for tomorrow's ceremony. Mayor Thomas Anderson. "No." Michael's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm afraid so." Anderson wasn't just aware of the pipeline. He was the one who created it. 20 years ago when he was still a city councilman. He brought Harrison in, recruited Webb, built the entire operation from the ground up. "That's impossible. Anderson is the one who appointed me. He's the one who brought in the FBI." Because he had no choice. The federal investigation was already underway. When he realized it was only a matter of time before everything collapsed, he decided to get ahead of it. Appoint a reformer. Pretend to be the hero. Let the underlings take the fall while he walked away clean. Michael stared at the photograph. Anderson's face was clear, unmistakable. He was smiling slightly, watching Sarah walk toward her death. He was there that night. He gave the order. Not me, not Harrison. Anderson. "You're lying." Am I?" Webb pulled out another document. "This is a recording of the phone call Anderson made to Harrison that night. Listen." He pressed play on a small device. Anderson's voice filled the room. Clear, calm, unmistakable. "The journalist knows too much. Handle it, tonight." Harrison's voice responded. "Understood." The recording ended. Michael felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. Everything he'd believed, everything he'd built his plan around, it was all based on a lie. Anderson wasn't his ally. Anderson was the enemy. "Why are you telling me this?" Michael asked. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "Because tomorrow morning you're going to take an oath of office. Anderson will be there smiling, pretending to be the hero who reformed the police department, and unless you stop him, he'll get away with everything. And you think giving me this information will save you? Nothing will save me, I know that. But I'd rather spend the rest of my life in prison knowing Anderson went down too, than walk free knowing he escaped." Michael looked at the documents in his hands, the photographs, the transcripts, the recordings. Everything he needed to destroy the man who had destroyed his life. "Federal agents are outside," Michael said. "They're moving in 2 minutes. I know. You're going to be arrested. I know that too. Why did you really contact me? What do you want?" Webb smiled. It was a sad expression, tired. "I want to see the look on Thomas Anderson's face when he realizes it's over. I want to watch him fall just like he watched your wife die. Is that so wrong?" Michael didn't answer. He turned toward the door. "Mr. Brennan?" Michael stopped, but didn't turn around. Your wife was right about you. She said you wouldn't stop. She said you'd find the truth no matter how deep it was buried. Webb's voice was quiet now. She loved you very much. That was the last thing she said before she died. Tell Michael I love him. Michael's eyes burned. His throat closed. He walked out the door without looking back. The federal agents were already in the hallway. They swept past him into the safe house. Shouts, commands, the sound of handcuffs clicking. Michael walked down the stairs and out into the night. His phone was ringing. Turner. We have Webb. We're securing the records now. Michael, what happened in there? Change of plans. I need you to pull every piece of evidence we have on Mayor Anderson. Silence. Michael, what are you talking about? Anderson is part of this. He's not just part of it. He's the head of it. The whole thing. The pipeline. Sarah's murder. All of it traces back to him. That's impossible. I have proof. Recordings, photographs. Webb gave me everything. Turner's voice was careful now, cautious. Michael, Webb could be lying, trying to redirect blame. We need to verify. I saw the photographs. I heard the recordings. Anderson was there the night Sarah died. He gave the order. More silence. If this is true, everything changes. The ceremony tomorrow, the appointment, all of it. I know. We need to brief the federal prosecutors, get warrants. This isn't something we can handle in a few hours. We don't have a few hours. The ceremony is at 8 a.m. Anderson will be there standing next to me pretending to be my friend. Then we postpone the ceremony. No. Michael's voice was firm. The ceremony happens. I take the oath. And then, in front of the cameras and the city council and everyone who's watching, I arrest the mayor for conspiracy to commit murder. Turner was quiet for a long moment. That's not protocol. I don't care about protocol. I care about justice. Michael. My wife died because she trusted the system, because she believed that if she brought evidence to the right people, they would do the right thing, and the system killed her. He took a breath. Tomorrow, I'm going to show this city that things are different, that no one is above the law, not cops, not judges, not mayors, no one. Turner sighed. I'll have my team at City Hall by 7 a.m. If you're going to do this, you're going to do it with federal backup. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could blow up in all our faces. It won't. Michael hung up. He stood on the sidewalk looking up at the night sky. Tomorrow everything changed. Tomorrow he would take an oath to serve and protect. And then he would fulfill the promise he'd made to Sarah 2 years ago. Everyone pays. Everyone. The morning sun broke through the clouds over City Hall like a promise. Michael stood in front of the bathroom mirror in his dress uniform, adjusting his collar for the third time. His hands were steady. His breathing was calm, but his heart was a war zone. Daddy? He turned. Lily sat in her wheelchair at the doorway. She was wearing the purple dress Sarah had bought for her 10th birthday. The last gift her mother had ever given her. Hey, sweetheart, you look beautiful. You look scared. Michael smiled despite himself. His daughter had always been able to read him, just like Sarah. Maybe a little. Is it because of what you have to do today? He knelt beside her wheelchair, eye level, the way Sarah used to do when she wanted Lily to know something was important. How much do you know? Clara called last night. She told me everything. Lily's eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. She told me about the mayor, about what really happened to Mom. I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you myself. It's okay. I needed to know. Lily reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were thin, but her grip was strong. Are you going to arrest him? The mayor? Yes. Good. The word hung in the air. Simple. Final. A 12-year-old girl's verdict on the man who had ordered her mother's death. I need you to stay with Clara during the ceremony, Michael said. She'll bring you to a safe location. When it's over, I'll come find you. What if something goes wrong? Nothing is going to go wrong. But what if it does? Michael pulled his daughter into a hug. She felt so small in his arms, so fragile. But he knew better. Lily was the strongest person he'd ever met. She'd survived her mother's death, survived 2 years of grief, survived a disease that should have broken her spirit. She was Sarah's daughter through and through. If something goes wrong, Michael said quietly, Agent Turner will take care of you. She promised me. I don't want Agent Turner. I want you. I know, baby. I know. He held her for a long moment, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, feeling her heart beat against his chest. I'm proud of you, Daddy. The words nearly broke him. I'm proud of you too, sweetheart, every single day. Clara arrived at 7:15. She was wearing black. Appropriate for a funeral, and today, in a way, it was. The death of an empire. The burial of lies that had poisoned this city for decades. The car is ready, Clara said. Agent Turner's team is already in position at City Hall. Michael kissed Lily's forehead one last time. I love you. I love you too. Go get him. Michael walked out into the morning light. The drive to City Hall took 20 minutes. Michael used the time to review the evidence one more time. The recordings, the photographs, Webb's written statement, Morrison's confession. Everything pointed to Anderson. Every thread, every connection. There was no escape. His phone rang. Turner. We're in position. Federal marshals are stationed at every exit. Anderson's security detail has been quietly replaced with our people. He doesn't know anything is wrong. What about the other arrests? Holbrook is in custody. Chen is in custody. Judge Webb is being processed as we speak. We've seized records from 6 locations across the city. And the families? The 43 families who filed complaints. We've reached out to every one of them. Most of them are watching the ceremony on television. They want to see it happen. Michael closed his eyes. 43 families. 43 people who had lost someone to the pipeline. Who had been told their loved ones died by accident or natural causes. Today, they would learn the truth. Michael. Turner's voice was serious now. Are you sure you want to do it this way? We could arrest Anderson quietly. No cameras. No spectacle. That's not what Sarah would have wanted. Sarah isn't here. Yes, she is. She's been with me every step of this. And she would want the world to see. She would want everyone to know that nobody is above the law. Turner was quiet for a moment. Okay, we do it your way. Thank you, Rachel. Don't thank me. Just don't get yourself killed. City Hall was packed when Michael arrived. Media cameras lined the back wall. City council members sat in the front row. State representatives, community leaders. The police department's entire command staff, minus the ones who were already in federal custody. And at the center of it all, Mayor Thomas Anderson. He was smiling, shaking hands, playing the role of the reformer who had cleaned house and brought in fresh leadership. The cameras loved him. The crowd loved him. They had no idea. Michael walked through the crowd. Officers stopped to salute. People reached out to shake his hand. Everyone wanted a piece of the new commissioner, the hero who had exposed corruption, the man who was going to change everything. If only they knew what was coming. Michael? Anderson approached with his hand extended. The man of the hour, how are you feeling? Michael shook his hand, looked into his eyes, searched for some sign of guilt, some flicker of conscience. There was nothing. Just the practiced smile of a politician who had spent 30 years hiding his true self. Ready to get started, Michael said. Excellent. The ceremony begins in 10 minutes. Your speech is loaded on the teleprompter, but feel free to go off script if the moment moves you. Oh, I plan to. Anderson laughed. He had no idea what was about to happen. No idea that his entire world was about to collapse. That's what I like about you, Michael. You're genuine. This city needs more of that. Michael wanted to hit him, wanted to grab him by the throat and drag him to the ground. But he held back. The moment wasn't right yet. Soon. The ceremony began at exactly 8:00 a.m. Anderson took the podium first. His speech was polished, practiced, full of words like reform and accountability and new beginning. Michael stood behind him, watching the cameras, watching the crowd, watching Turner's agents positioned at every exit. "And now," Anderson said, "it is my honor to introduce the man who will lead our police department into a new era. A man of integrity, a man of courage, a man who has dedicated his life to service." Michael walked to the podium. The applause was thunderous. People were standing, cheering. He looked out at the crowd and saw Clara in the back row, saw Walsh near the side door, saw Turner standing with her arms crossed watching, waiting. "Thank you, Mayor Anderson." The words tasted like ash in his mouth. "Please raise your right hand." Michael placed his left hand on Sarah's Bible. The pages were worn, dog-eared. She had carried it with her everywhere, had been holding it the day they met. "Do you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws of this state? Do you swear to serve all citizens with integrity, fairness, and respect? Do you swear to hold yourself and your officers to the highest standards of conduct?" "I do." The words echoed through the chamber. "Then by the authority vested in me as mayor of this city, I hereby appoint you police commissioner. Congratulations." More applause, more cheering. Anderson reached out to shake his hand again. Michael took it, held it, didn't let go. "Before I give my speech," Michael said into the microphone, "there's something the people of this city need to see." Anderson's smile faltered. "Michael, this isn't on the schedule." "No, it isn't." Michael turned to the crowd. His voice was steady, clear. 2 years ago, my wife Sarah Brennan walked into the 47th precinct with evidence of corruption. She never walked out. For 2 years I was told she died in a car accident. For 2 years I was told there was no evidence of foul play. The crowd had gone silent. Cameras were rolling. Every eye in the room was fixed on Michael. "Last night I learned the truth. My wife was murdered, beaten to death in an interrogation room by officers who were paid to protect criminals instead of citizens." Gasps rippled through the audience. Anderson's face had gone pale. "Michael, this isn't the time or place. This is exactly the time and place." Michael turned to face Anderson directly. "Because the man who gave the order to kill my wife is standing right here." Anderson took a step back. His eyes darted to the exits, to his security detail, to anyone who might help him. But his security detail wasn't his anymore. "Mayor Thomas Anderson, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, and civil rights violations." The room erupted. Shouts, screams, camera flashes exploding like lightning. Anderson's mask finally cracked. The polished politician disappeared. What remained was something ugly, desperate. "This is ridiculous. I don't know what lies you've been fed, but..." "Lies." Michael pulled out his phone, pressed play. Anderson's voice filled the chamber, clear, unmistakable. "The journalist knows too much. Handle it, tonight." The recording ended. Silence. Absolute silence. "That was you," Michael said. "That was you giving the order to murder my wife. That recording is fake. It's been manipulated. I never... We have photographs of you at the 47th precinct the night Sarah died. We have financial records showing payments from your campaign to the pipeline. We have testimony from Deputy Chief Harrison, Captain Morrison, Sergeant Cole, and Judge Webb. They all confirm you were the one in charge." Anderson's face had gone from pale to gray. He looked like a man watching his own execution. "You can't do this. I'm the mayor. I appointed you. You killed my wife." The words cut through the noise, cut through everything. "You sat in your office and gave the order to murder a woman whose only crime was telling the truth. Then you covered it up. You buried the evidence. You paid off the medical examiner. You made sure the investigation was closed before anyone could ask questions. Federal agents were moving through the crowd now, positioning themselves around Anderson, blocking his escape. And for 2 years, Michael continued, you pretended to be a reformer. You pretended to care about justice. You pretended to be my friend. Michael, please, we can talk about this. We can work something out. There's nothing to work out. It's over, Thomas. It's been over since the moment I walked into that station last night. Turner stepped forward. Mayor Anderson, you need to come with us. I'm not going anywhere. This is a coup. A political assassination. I want my lawyer. You have the right to remain silent, Turner said. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Anderson tried to run. 2 agents grabbed him. He struggled, screamed, called out for help that wasn't coming. The cameras captured everything, his terror, his desperation. The moment the handcuffs clicked around his wrists. You're making a mistake, Anderson shouted as they dragged him toward the exit. You don't know what you're doing. This city will burn without me. Michael watched him go. Watched the man who had destroyed his life being led away in chains. It should have felt satisfying. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt empty. Turner approached. It's done. We have him. What about the others? All in custody. Harrison Cole Torres, Morrison Webb, Holbrook Chen. The entire pipeline is shut down. Michael nodded slowly. And the families. The 43 families. They're being notified now. We're reopening every case. Every death in custody. Every complaint that was buried. The crowd was still in chaos. Media people shouting questions. Politicians demanding explanations. Officers standing in stunned silence. Michael walked to the podium one last time. I know this isn't the ceremony you expected, he said into the microphone. I know this isn't the new beginning you were promised. The crowd quieted, everyone listening. But the truth matters. Justice matters. And for too long this city has been run by people who believed they were above the law. He looked out at the faces watching him. Scared, confused, hopeful. That ends today. Starting now, this police department answers to the people. Starting now, every officer is held accountable. Starting now, when someone walks into a station asking for help, they get help. Not silence, not violence. Help. He paused. My wife believed in this city. She believed that good people could change bad systems. She died trying to prove that, and I'm not going to let her death be meaningless. Michael stepped away from the podium. The applause started slowly. One person, then another, then the whole room. He walked through the crowd toward the exit. People reached out to touch him, to thank him, to tell him they were sorry about his wife. He barely heard any of it. Outside, Clara was waiting with Lily. His daughter's face was wet with tears. I saw it on the news, Lily said. I saw everything. Michael knelt beside her wheelchair. It's over, sweetheart. It's finally over. Is the bad man going to prison? Yes. For a very long time. Good. Lily reached into her bag and pulled out a photograph. Sarah, smiling, holding Lily on her lap. I wanted to show you this. I've been carrying it all morning. Michael took the photograph. His throat closed completely. Mom would be proud of you, Lily said. I know she would. I hope so. She is. I can feel it. Michael pulled his daughter into a hug. They stayed that way for a long time. Father and daughter. Survivors. The only family they had left. Clara stood nearby crying quietly. Walsh had emerged from the building. He saluted Michael from across the street. It was over. 20 years of corruption. Erased. 43 families. Getting justice. One woman's death. Finally, meaning something. 3 weeks later, Michael sat in his new office at the 47th Precinct. The building had been renamed the Sarah Brennan Community Justice Center. Her photograph hung in the lobby. His phone rang. Turner. Thought you'd want to know. Anderson's plea deal fell through. He's going to trial. Good. The prosecutors are confident. With all the evidence we have, he's looking at life without parole. It's not enough. No, but it's something. Michael hung up. He looked at the photograph on his desk. Sarah and Lily. The last picture they'd ever taken together. A knock at the door. Walsh entered. Sir, there's a woman here to see you. Says her name is Patricia Johnson. Her son Daniel died in custody 8 months before your wife. Michael stood. Send her in. Patricia Johnson was in her 60s. Gray hair, tired eyes. The kind of eyes that had cried themselves dry years ago. Commissioner Brennan, thank you for seeing me. Please sit down. What can I do for you? Patricia pulled a photograph from her purse. A young man, smiling, full of life. This is my Daniel. He was 24 years old. He had a scholarship to medical school. He was going to be a doctor. I know, I've read his file. They said he attacked an officer, said he had drugs in his system, said he died of cardiac arrest during a struggle. None of that was true. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. I knew. I always knew. But nobody would listen. Nobody cared. I care. I know you do. That's why I'm here. She reached into her purse again and pulled out a folder. Daniel kept a journal. He wrote everything down, including what he saw at the 47th Precinct in the weeks before he died. Michael took the folder, opened it. Page after page of handwritten notes, names, dates, descriptions of illegal activity, evidence of corruption. Your son was gathering evidence, Michael said slowly. He was investigating the same thing my wife was investigating. They were working together. I didn't know until I found the journal. Daniel never told me what he was doing. He was trying to protect me. Michael looked at the journal, at the careful handwriting, at the dedication of a young man who had died trying to expose the truth. Why didn't you come forward before? I was scared. After Daniel died, I got phone calls, threats. They said if I talked, I'd end up like my son. Patricia's voice hardened. But I'm not scared anymore. Not after what you did. Not after I watched you arrest the mayor on live television. Michael closed the journal. This evidence will help us build cases against people who haven't been arrested yet. There are still loose ends. People who were part of the pipeline but managed to stay hidden. Good. I want them all to pay. Every single one. They will. I promise you. Patricia stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. Commissioner Brennan, your wife, was she scared? At the end. Michael thought about what Cole had told him, about Sarah's final moments, about her courage, her defiance. No, she wasn't scared. She was brave. The bravest person I've ever known. Patricia nodded slowly. So was my Daniel. I just wanted someone to know that. I know, and I won't forget. After Patricia left, Michael sat alone in his office. The journal was open on his desk. Daniel Johnson's handwriting filled the pages. Another victim. Another family destroyed. But also another piece of the puzzle. Another thread to pull. The work wasn't done. It would never be done. There would always be another case. Another family. Another person who needed someone to fight for them. But that was okay. That was the job. That was what Sarah would have wanted. Michael picked up the phone and dialed Walsh. Get me everything we have on the names in Daniel Johnson's journal. We've got more work to do. Yes, sir. Michael hung up. He looked at Sarah's photograph one more time. I'm not done yet, he whispered. Not even close. Outside his window, the sun was setting over the city. Orange and red painted the sky. Beautiful, peaceful. A new beginning. Not the end of corruption. Not the end of injustice. but the start of something different, something better. A police department that served its people instead of preying on them. A city that believed in truth instead of hiding from it. A father who had kept his promise to his wife and daughter. Michael Brennan put on his jacket and walked out of his office. There was work to do, and he was just getting started.